So I just finished the fifth season by N.K. Jemisin, and I very much disliked it from pretty much start to finish. I could not get into it. I couldn't get into the characters, and I just want to preface this review with that. So going forward, we know where I'm at. Um, yeah. So basically, the plot of the book follows three different women. One's a child, one's a my age, 25 maybe, doesn't really say, and then one's an adult. Um, and so you're going through this world with these three different perspectives. And what the first thing that really jumped out at me that kind of made it hard for me to get into the book is that one of the character perspectives is in second person, which I didn't even know what that was until I read this book and I was complaining about it to my girlfriend, and she told me. So there's that, and second person is saying like, "Oh, you see this, and you did this, and you do that," and I guess from what I understand, that's to help with the like emotional impact of what's going on with this character, but it just like does not work for me. I generally like pretty much third person. First person is fine. It's it it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. Um, but second person, I don't even think I've ever read a book that has a second person perspective. And what I think is so weird about it is that it only has one of the three perspectives in second person. So every time you go to that character's perspective, it's like, oh, this again, which is, I know, not the thing you should be focusing on, but it was hard for me to get over because I just really did not. I just found that the whole point of it was to connect more with the character, but I felt the exact opposite. So that was annoying. But far from my only complaint about the book. So basically, these three characters are going. And the world is very uh, disaster focused. So every so often there's just a world-ending calamity, and then you're kind of following how these people are surviving. It's also very geology focused. So if you like geology, this is the book for you. I think regardless of everything else. But so the magic system in the world is very geology centered, and what these characters are kind of experiencing is this in the book is a lot of earth-based calamities. The first major stumble of the book for me is how loose the world building is. You understand that there's calamities; they happen every so often. They can vary in what happens and the severity, and they're called seasons. Thus, the fifth season. But the and there's also some people have magic. They can control the earth in certain ways to prevent some of these disasters or create some of the disasters, and you just don't get at any point a good introduction to like the world or the magic. You're really thrown right into it, and that I don't mind very much in most books. It's just it never gets to a point where I ever felt like I understood what was going on. I didn't understand the significance of what characters were doing because I didn't really understand their power levels or the threat levels of other people. And I think that hurt the tension overall of different sections of the book. So I just like, oh, like I cool, like they can do XYZ, but is that like impressive, hard to do, easy to do, standard? Like you get there's a like a hierarchy amongst some of these people who use the what call it geopower. I don't even know what it's called, and that I guess like kind of conveys the intensity at which these people are performing their magic. But that's not really that helpful since you're only really seeing like two people in the book. The middle, like my age person's perspective. I forget her name. I think it's like I'm not even gonna guess. And yes, so her and then her companion, they're both at differing power levels, and you can kind of see like the difference between the two of them. That's about all of the understanding that I got on what was happening. And I know that's obviously a conscious choice by the author to kind of have it be more like a soft magic system. Well, my I guess my specific problem with that is that it's not a soft magic system. There's clearly defined rules. They're so defined that people have, like I was saying, there's like order rankings of how good you are at said power. So that's not a soft magic system. So why is it being treated like a soft magic system? I didn't quite get that, and it really harmed my understanding of it. You're also following a child character who's getting inducted into this, and I would have felt that would have been a perfect time to kind of subtly include some, you know, teaching experience or scenes, not experience, or some way that you can that she's exploring her powers that you can kind of as a reader get a more of a sense on what's happening. So that was tough. I could not get on board with the magic system. Not for lack of trying. I really wanted to understand, but I just couldn't. And I think the crux of this world building or lack thereof issue comes in the form of like the final plot hook, I guess, to propel you to the second book in the series, which it did not, because they, and this is, I guess, a spoiler. I don't even know how it's a spoiler because it came out of absolutely nowhere, but you're like right at the end of the book and it's like, we're gonna go find a moon or something like that. Because I guess there's no moon in this world. How would I have known that? I don't understand the significance of that. It's not enticing me to go read the second book. The only reason I would, I guess, read the second book is to figure out why that even matters, but I'm not going to do that because it'll be a waste of time. So I just kind of came out of nowhere, and it's supposed to be this big deal, and I just sat there going, what does that even mean? And I still don't know. So that was the epitome of the lack of world building hurting the plot, because I assume there's no moon in this world, and that maybe is the cause of some of these severe world-ending events. Maybe? Why am I guessing? I should know. If it's that important that it's the main hook of the second book, I should know why I care. So that was tough. I did not like that. The other, I think, and I guess going off that, because that's like a big reveal. The other big reveal in this book is, I found, pretty obvious, and I think it's one of those things where it's like the ideas are kind of seeded throughout the book, so you could figure it out. But I did not need that. It was very obvious once you got through all three character perspectives what the twist was going to be, and it was not well done in a way that I was surprised. It also wasn't well done in the sense that when it was revealed, it wasn't dramatic at all. It was revealed in such a way that I just was like, oh, cool, yeah, like we knew that, but also this is this is supposed to be the big reveal. This is not. There's no tension around it at all. And I thought that was a weird way to reveal, to do that. So that was odd. Going into spoilers, you find out that all three character perspectives are the same person. But what I think is what has made it so obvious for me was that the first person you meet, the eldest person, she is experiencing this like massive world-ending event. Like the whole, like the setup, the prologue to the book kind of sets up that this is massive season coming, and it's going to end the world for like 1,000 years or something. I don't even know. And this oldest character, or whatever her name is, Nessun, something like that. She is like experiencing it in real time. She's the one in second person. Terrible. And then the next two, I guess the next one is the youngest one. She starts going in her story. So you're kind of like expecting, all right, when's the calamitous world-ending event coming for you? And then it doesn't. And then you get to the middle character age one. And again, the same thing. And basically, as soon as I got through all three perspectives, and the first two had nothing to do with the current plot of the first person, and what I assume was the plot of the book, since that was what the prologue was about, I pretty much knew right off that these are the same person. And you're just getting a non-linear story. And I like the idea of a non-linear story. And it worked fine. Like it wasn't, I don't think done poorly. Just when it was eventually revealed that they are the same person, first off, it wasn't done in a way that you found out like kind of at the same time that like all three are one. You find out that the youngest person and the oldest person, I guess they changed their names a lot in this world. And she picks the middle character's name. So you're like, oh, what was her name again? I don't know. I was like, oh, is that the same? I guess I got to pay attention to when we go back to the next character that's her name, because it just didn't even. That's how little the characters were resonating with me, that they said the name of the character and I was like not quite sure that was her. And then you find out then like even lamer reveal based on the fact that this older character recognizes someone from the younger character's life, and you kind of like can put the pieces together. That happens like multiple chapters later, so I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a staggered reveal, but it just didn't work, because then you just, oh yeah, well of course they're all the same. So even though I was pretty sure that was the case, it was then done so poorly that it just wasn't that interesting of a reveal. And I think that was what it came down to, just like the sheer fact that it was just done so banally, is that a word? That I couldn't even get like excited about it. Because even if you guess a reveal, it's still fun to see how it kind of turns out. It wasn't that interesting. And that pretty much sums up my thoughts on the book. There are some interesting parts. There are some, I feel like the middle character, she had the most intrigue going on. She has a like relationship semi thing going on with another character. They like kind of escape the world and they get to live their life a little bit, and then it's kind of pulled back in. That section was pretty interesting. I found her section the most interesting, and had it just focused on her, maybe I think I would have liked the book a lot more. It was just then dragged down by the younger character, kind of just giving you a perspective that you don't really need, because since she's not explaining the magic system or the world at all, I felt like she wasn't that useful of a perspective. And then the oldest character is basically doing the same plot as Shadow of the Gods by John Quinn, which is a significantly better book. And it's done so much better. I just kept comparing Essun, I think her name's Essun, to Orca in Shadow of the Gods, and there's just no comparison. Orca has done so much better, such a more compelling story, and it just felt like I knew what this could be based on Shadow of the Gods, and it was not that. So I thought that was kind of a letdown. I did read Shadow of the Gods recently, so I kind of had that fresh on my mind. So maybe if I read this when it came out, it wouldn't have made as much of an impact. Or maybe I would have compared it to Shadow of the Gods. I actually don't know which came out first, but I think the fifth season. I feel like I've seen it around longer than I certainly have heard of Shadow of the Gods. But you should read that book. It was way better. So that's that. I haven't seen a lot of other people who feel the same way about the book. I feel like it's pretty universally loved, which I don't get. I watched some other people's reviews on it, and I guess if you like the book, there are a lot of other people out there talking about how much they like the book. So there are that. There's that. But I guess I just could not get into it for the reasons I stated. And overall, I guess the question is, should you read this book? I would personally say no. This is the first book of the year that I read that I did not like. That's not true. I did not like Prior of the Orange Tree, but I liked that one more than this one. I would still say I like that one more. That one had more potential to be good. This one, I'm so uninterested in reading the rest of the series that it's never going to come to that. But I guess I'd be interested to hear if it gets better. Though I think I heard somewhere that this was the best one of the three, so that's not boding well for me. But if you like geology, once again, this book's for you. And that might be it for me on people who I would recommend the book to. I would definitely recommend the book to geology nerds. And that's about it. So that's my thoughts on the fifth season. I hope that you enjoyed it more than I did. But if you agree or disagree, let me know down in the comments. And I will look forward to checking them out. All right, thanks.